work session. Chief?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, council members. I have one item tonight. It's a change order. And this is the second change order. I came to you all a couple of months ago with a change order to our Tower 1 apparatus that we had ordered. And it was a pretty substantial $39,000 and some odd dollars savings on that truck. And I'm coming to you tonight with a second change order on that same unit. Should be the last one. This is to the purchase order of F2360. And this is the amount of a negative $37,083.49 from the original purchase price of this unit. The only thing this particular change order is addressing is we have added back. We had an opportunity, the guys did just a few weeks ago, to actually see a twin to the truck we have ordered that another department had purchased. I feel like I'm hid behind the corner from you there, sorry. And after reviewing that, getting to spend a day with it and putting our hands on it, there was one relocation of some mounting of some equipment we wanted to do, and that's what's brought this change order on. And it was adding back $1,933.28 to the original savings. So we're still $37,083.49 to the good from the original purchase price. And that should be the final change order on that piece of equipment.
We'll take it.
Will it delay this at all?
No.
Will it change the timing?
No.
So everything stays on track?
Very minor, this is very minor adjustment, just the location. It required an extra piece of mounting hardware basically and one small ladder component. And that's what this money is comprised of, but no change in delivery or anything. We're anticipating approximately 1 year from now that truck arriving.
That's what I was just about to ask,
Yes.
when we expect a delivery.
Yes.
And this will be for what station?
This will be for Station 1 downtown. It will be the new Tower 1, and this is being expensed to account 1147-42200.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Will you move your tower someplace else now?
That truck will roll into a reserve area. We've got a truck that's quite a bit older that we'll be deciding whether we're going to try to move on the market or refurbish, basically.
You had mentioned the other day that the new East Florence
Yes.
could possibly hold that.
Yes, it will. That structure will
reserve.
be big enough to hold that apparatus. That's our largest apparatus in the fleet. It will be able to house that unit inside.
Okay, thank you.
Right now, that's a struggle for that size unit. We don't have a facility that's adequate to keep that outside without having to pull it in and out and move something else day by day. But that station will give us somewhere to house that type of unit in a reserve capacity.
It's good news.
Yes. I think I need
We
a
need a
vote.
vote on
Yes. I think so.
You can motion.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Andre, second by Mr. Edwards, all in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Coates?
David Coates, Solid Waste Street and Recycling. One item on the agenda today, it's a contract with Mid-America Roofing for labor and material to repair the gutter system and part of the recycle roof. Had a couple of intense storms back, I think it was in April, maybe March, that kind of messed that gutter system up. So we had water coming in the building, so we got them to come down there and crawl up there and make the necessary repairs. Amount of that was $463.16.
In that meantime, David, did it cause any damage?
I just got some of the recyclables wet and was running in the building, but didn't hurt anything else.
So all of that is fine and it's,
Yeah.
has it been fixed?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I understood. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Holmes?
Madam President, Council, thank you. I have item D on the consent agenda. This is the agreement between the City of Florence and Lambertville and Durham for the professional services associated with the new EMA 911 building. It's a standard form contract based on the amount of money that is budgeted for the project. It'll be about a 6.8% premium that they will put on it. Mr. Easton has reviewed the contract. I've spoken with General Fund Accounting about it. It will be expensed to account 188. and is in line with what has been previously discussed. The total budget for the project right now is $2.4 million with the 6.8. That should put the construction around 1.8, $1.9 million. And we hope to have plans available to put out to bid sometime in early fall.
Brad, could you please remind us, the 2.4 million, that's the city's investment, but the county also,
The county has already invested their 2.4. The total project was 4.8 million. 2.4 was for the purchase of the building at Dr. Hicks and Court. And the county originally had the agreement with LED, but since the city has the higher interest in the renovation, we felt it appropriate that the city control the contract.
and so going forward with any additional changes with the contract itself, any change orders like we've just seen with Chief Anderton, will those also be split 50-50?
Yes, ma'am. Before any of those change orders are approved, both the county and the city will have to agree on those change orders and the amounts associated with them.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else? Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Chief Holt?
Good afternoon. I only have one item for you guys this afternoon. It's a resolution to approve the donation of a Ford Crown Victoria police car to the Northwest Shoals Community College Police Department. It will replace, what I'm told, a car for the chief of police there. They've just reinstituted their police department. The car I think he's currently driving, they said, has over 300,000 miles and does not have a working air conditioner. So this is something we've done before in the past, I think with North Portland and some other agencies that are just smaller and just don't have the resources that we have. It's a very old vehicle, but it'll be very valuable to a smaller agency.
Chief, along those same lines, I know that they're very appreciative, but do you have reciprocal agreements with them too, like you do the university's police department, where you work with them, or is that something that's housed through Colbert County so that they're making sure they're getting their calls responded to?
That's probably a Colbert County,
So we don't have any other agreement with them?
not that I'm aware of.
Any more questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Tad?
Afternoon, Tad Cole, Gas and Water. I've got two items on the agenda. Item F is a contract with J.C. Hammond Sons for the repair of a HVAC unit at the administrative building at Cypress Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant in the amount of $5,718.10 to be paid from budget account 651, structure maintenance. And then the second one is item G, and this is an application agreement for your approval between Shoals Commercial LLC and the City of Florence. This is for reimbursement for the road bore to be performed, the gradient road bore to be performed under Florence Boulevard. That's on the property located between Florence Boulevard, Church of Christ, and Office Depot. And that is the property they're trying to develop. And that agreement is included with that, as well as the price, and I think it was $180,000 on the price.
And that's our cost?
That is the estimate that we got from Engineers of the South, Robert Pride.
Okay, but then help me understand, we've met about this.
Yes, ma'am.
Does the developer pay that back?
The developer pays all of it, and then we will reimburse the developer
Okay,
that up to that amount. I think the estimate was $180,000, and the agreement is reimbursable up to $250,000.
okay. And this will also help the neighborhood across the street,
That
correct?
is correct. That will increase flow and capacity for those roughly 300 homes and businesses back to the north.
And homes and
Homes and
businesses, yeah.
businesses, yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mary?
Good afternoon. How are you all this afternoon?
Hello.
How are you? Good, good. Busy day. I have a few, starting with N, is a resolution to approve the updated TVA resale rate schedule substitution agreement to our wholesale power agreement. This is something the Utilities Committee approved, and we moved forward asking TVA's permission to approve, and now it's back for full council approval for an increase in our customer charge for residential customers by $3 and small commercial by $3.
Mary, yes, that did go to the utility committee. Could you please explain to the larger group what that means and how this is not a charge that the city is actively seeking? TVA has basically forced our hand on this.
So TVA recommends, they give us a guideline amount of recommended of what we need to increase per year. This past year, they recommended actually $8.9 million for us to increase. Well, obviously, we can't do all that in 1 year. So we have worked with TVA and they've approved, and the utilities committee have approved moving forward for a $3 increase, which is a 1.8% increase for our revenues for next year, which is like a 1.5% increase in our revenues. So we're working with TVA, trying to get the numbers up, but we're making small steps and not large steps. So roughly that means for commercial customers, about an average of a 1.5% on their bill, and residential customers about a 2.5% on their bill. And so basically the customer charge for residential is going from $18.96 to $21.96, which is their monthly minimum bill amount. And general service, which is our small commercial, is going from 25 to 28 minimum bill amount per month.
Currently, TVA would like for us to be at $37.59. Is that correct?
That is their goal for our, so basically what that this covers is customer charges our O&M cost expenses. And that's what the average in the valleys, O&M expenses are $37 and something, yes. And that's-
$37.59.
Yes, and that's where they would like to see us in the future. It's just gonna take us some time, obviously, to get where we need to be, so.
But with this increase, we're coming in at $21.96.
Yes.
So we still are $16 short a month.
We're still short. And like I said, if we did the total amount TVA recommended, I think it was like an additional $14 a year, $14 a
A
month.
month.
But we aren't gonna do that to our customers at one time, so we're gonna have to we're gonna take smaller steps to get there, but we definitely are gonna have to do some additional, and, but we're gonna, like I said, we're not gonna do one big chunk at a time. We're gonna try to make it easier as a customer with the customers as we can.
I was doing some research when I heard this,
Mm-hmm.
and in January of '24, when we had 5 to 7 days of cold weather,
Mhm.
is it true that the electric department in Florence lost $1 million? When I say lost, that it means that as the rates went up, you didn't recover those.
We didn't recover that. So our bill's based on 3 different buckets. So the first bucket's a customer charge. The second bucket's a kilowatt hour charge, and the third bucket's a demand charge. And so residential customers only fall into the residential customer charge and the kilowatt hour charge. And GSA customers only fall into the the GSA customer charge and the KWH charge. But the way TVA bills us is they bill us on peak demand. So when our residential customers use a lot of power and we have a really high peak, the electricity department is having to pay that out of our own funds to cover the peak not made by our commercial larger GSA customers. And I know that's confusing. And so in the month of January, the electricity department had to come out of our reserves $1 million to cover the power bill that we had to pay to TVA.
So when there's peak usage,
Mm-hmm.
you do not charge a peak charge.
Not for residential.
Residential, that's all we're talking, that's
Yep.
all I'm talking about.
Yep, yes. So, and we have like 48,000 residential customers, so if you think about everybody's contributing to that peak, and we're not recovering any of that $48,000 customer peak, so that's where, it adds up quickly. It does. Yep.
So even though it's gonna be a $3 a month raise, you're still $16 a month short of what
We
TVA
really need to be.
is charging you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, the other ones are easier. All right, next one is, O is an agreement with TextPower, which is a software company that we are looking at partner with. the cost of initial $8,900, and then the monthly additional after that will be $3,073. And this software is basically a texting software that we can text our customers, and it's gonna start with mostly our notifications for tree trimmings, spray, we're spraying areas, and also is gonna notify you when your area is coming up for AMI meter replacement. Then once all the meters are replaced with AMI meters, we'll have a great service to offer to customers that we can actually notify you when your power's going out and when your kind of estimated restore time, and then when your power's restored, we'll be able to let you know if you're not home, we'll be able to text you and tell you your power's back on. Your customers will have to, so we'll send out an initial text, and the customer will actually have to accept that in order to be a part of the texting program. And if they decline it, then obviously, they won't be, but they can always add back later if they want to.
I don't need you to text me when my power's out.
I understand, some
I
people
know
want
before
that
you
though.
do, but it would really be nice if you give me an estimated time.
Mhm. Yes,
That's what everybody wants.
yes, I agree.
And if you don't hit it, we'll
Well,
call you again.
that's right,
I
that's
know.
exactly
I
right.
know
You'll get
how it
another
is.
text saying, well, that's been extended now.
Yes, okay, thank you. This sounds very good.
Yes, we are excited about it, so.
So, well, Mary, I understand, of course, it's the mobile for those with the electronic devices, cell phones. So what if a person have a landline and don't have one, how do they get notified they don't? They
They,
just have to watch the
they'll
news
just have
and-
to watch or look at our outage map. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And
And it's
they
just
can-
for cell phones, thank you for that, it's just cell phones.
And they can still use the same mechanisms to call
Yes.
from their home phones.
Correct.
When their power is out, and you'll call them back as the
Correct, the
homeowner.
same thing. Mhm.
And there's no charge to the client for this.
Correct, yes. So we actually are paying for the per text. That's what that fee, the $3,073, is actually so many texts per month. Mhm. All right, next item, we put out to bid where the existing parking deck is being torn down. The transformer that feeds the buildings on Court Street is actually sitting in the parking deck. And so we are having to move the transformer out of the parking deck. And when we do that, we're affecting the services that are feeding the businesses on Court Street. So we put out to bid to relocate the services from the existing location of the transformer to the new transformer location. And so Garnet Electric won the bid, and let me find the amount, I don't have it right here, of $109,750 was the winning bid on that. So Garnet won the bid to do this work for us. We do not do secondary work for customers, so this is something they would normally do themselves, but since we're the ones asking them to do it, we're covering the expenses, so this is a contract with them for the work to relocate their services.
Will the businesses that are in this area, will they be affected by the outage, and are you coordinating with them? Tell me a little bit about that.
So when we did this, the new parking deck going in, basically we scheduled with them to have outages after hours. And Garnet kind of works with us with that because they'll have to be here after hours also. And we just kind of took a business at a time and just relocated, they got all the material on the buildings, and then we just had an outage with them one night and they pulled the wire in, tied it into the transformer. But we work with the customers to make sure we're at their convenience. Mm-hmm.
So it'll be done in one night? Is that
No, it'll be over a few nights, so. Yes, probably 3 to 4 nights, honestly, because it's depending on, I think there's 4 different meter bases that are having to be replaced, so we'll do probably 1 a night.
Okay.
Next item is, this is another software product. It's our Esri, the Environmental Systems Research Institute. This is our Esri software. This is actually the software that we use for our online maps, that we use for our outage map and all of our personal in-house maps that we use. And this is a new 3-year agreement with them, and it's a total of $87,900 for the 3 years, but we actually pay it per year for an amount of $29,300. But they won't check, the price is set the same price for 3 years is what this is. Any questions about that? Y'all use them out quite often, so you know what it is. The next one is a professional service agreement with Certified Alarm. They handle all of our keypads that we use to access our buildings, and so this is just a general contract with them to come and do work in our facilities at a certain rate per hour and for whatever material that they do with their markup. Save y'all from having to approve all the small contracts that we get with them each time they do something for us. Next one is another professional service, Alexander Land Surveying. And this is just a professional service to do surveying for us or any civil work as needed. So, and y'all have the list of their prices.
How often do you use them?
So we actually have an agreement currently with Whiteland and Collins, and so we have them with both, and we use them actually more than we think that we do. So like, you know, like at our substation sites, they survey the property for us to make sure, you know, the fences and everything. Like we just had to do it at Norwood, and we're gonna have to do the same thing at the Shoals Creek location. So they survey the property, make sure the fences are going where they need to go, and we're working on a project now at our pole yard that they're working, another company's working on vacating some easements for us, and so they're handling all that for us, so. We have engineers on staff, but not any civil engineers on staff.
So like twice a month, 3 times a month, that's what I'm going for.
Probably, my guess is probably projects per year, maybe 3 to 5, depending on the year. For all of them combined, does that make sense?
Speaking of Norwood, have you completed that?
We're almost done. We have a couple of poles on Wood Avenue that we're gonna replace, and we are finishing up the grounding, tying everything to the ground, and I think actually Thursday, we're gonna heat the transformer up, and we're gonna let it sit for a little while, make sure it's good to go, then we're gonna have an outage the first of the week and turn it, have it off again and tie everything in, and so hopefully here in the next 2 weeks, we'll be completed on our Norwood project, so.
So
We'll
we
be
have all
glad to
these
have it back.
severe storms, does that affect that or impact that at all?
Well, it does, it definitely does, and we have it all switched out right now, and we have actually had to do extra switching when the weather got cold, and now that it's warm, and we think it's good right now, but we'll be glad to have some extra capacity when we get Norwood back up, and we don't have to be so worried about, you know, just that, really it's the warm weather that it would affect us the most, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, last is we bid out for the vegetation control spray work for the year. And Edco won the bid. And so this is a contract with them to do our spray work for the year. And we hope to start that as soon as this is completed. And we don't have much in town this year. We have kind of off of Cypress Mill Road area. And we have a little bit off of Riverview Drive, and that's about all we have in Florence this year, so.
If a
But I'll
citizen,
share that with everybody.
if a citizen does not want something sprayed, such as their blueberry bushes, what should they do?
Well, we tell people if they don't want us to spray in their area, if they will keep it maintained and just keep it mowed around it and keep it cleaned up, we would prefer you to do that. We'd prefer not to spray. So if they'll just keep it maintained, the area maintained, we won't spray at all.
That is
So,
reasonable.
But
And if,
don't they need to get in touch with you first?
It would be
though? 'Cause
good.
You put the,
Mhm.
you call and you have the little things on the
Yes.
doors, so call
Yes.
first.
and let us know.
Okay,
Yes.
I would like to, all the things you've brought today are just huge. I would like to thank you and your department for something as simple as going down to Branch Street and where a pole is leaning, just taking a truck or a backhoe and setting it back up straight. And you made some citizens stand there really happy. Almost as good as the street department when they go around and find those holes that people haven't even complained about yet. We know they're going to, but you fill them before they have a chance to complain. And there's been so much proactive work done in the community in just the last 10 days. And maybe it happens every day and I just don't know it. But by giving my phone number out, I've had lots and lots of calls lately. And they don't start on the positive side.
Very true.
But everyone that I've talked to, including the Blue Buck, blueberry bush have
Mhm.
ended up in a good result. So I just thank both of y'all for that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Anything else? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mary. Bill?
That one. Thank you. And see.
Around the corner.
Is that better?
That's good, yeah.
Good afternoon. So you want to cover the change orders first and then go to the other items? How would that be okay with y'all?
You're fine.
Okay, so the first change order, and I hope y'all have it in front of you there and along with what I sent to you. So the first one is with Roberts Builders out at the Sportsplex, and this will be to add additional parking spaces the construction is currently under construction. This would add approximately 95 more spaces, which would maximize the available area for parking, and it will include parking spaces, site work, barrel work, storm drain materials, stone base for parking, asphalt, parking bumpers, and striping. The reason for this is for the contractors already mobilized on site, performing the work, and if it was to bid out of separate cost, the cost of construction would increase. Also, the parking and construction presently would have torn up to implement the additional parking spaces due to alignment grades and storm drainage designed to drain and flow correctly. And the additional parking also provides another entrance and exit onto Sportsplex Drive for circulation purposes.
I'm glad you explained that, because when I first heard about this, I thought, well, we're just gonna go back and tear up what we've already, put in place. So with them already being there, they just can do the work.
Yes, sir.
And will save money on the end.
And this was something that we had budgeted this year, so it is a budgeted item.
Gotcha.
Bill, is this taking the place of a gravel lot or is this all new infrastructure?
This will be all new infrastructure.
Is it located where the new pod is?
So it'll be, yes, sir, it'll be just east of the new pie there, below the park where the office is there. And also a big part of that will be where the existing office space is now. There's kind of like a little, if you've been out there, there's a little hump there, and we're gonna be able to alleviate that and use that for parking and correct some drainage issues that are currently there.
Any idea how many parking spaces this will give us now out there?
Total, this is 95 plus.
Was 1,197.
1197. You probably still need more.
Well, you got 1,700 participants.
Well, that's a lot of parking.
So with this 95, it'll give you 1197, or you got 1197 plus this 95 on?
Yeah, that would be 1,197 plus 95.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
So it's 1292 that it'll go up to.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the change order.
Motion by Councilman Oliver, second by Mr. Edwards. All in favor of the motion?
Thank you so much.
Sir, just before you go on, I was with the families today, or yesterday, that came here to purchase a house. And they have some children who play softball that visited. And they thought we built that for the people who come on the weekends and play. I invited them to come some night, Monday through Thursday at least, and see the 1,000 kids and their parents there every night of the week. And so it's not built like if you build it, they will come and pay for it. It serves our citizens every week. And our families are so happy that they have something like this in our community. I think Muscle Shoals may even build one.
Well, it's funny you said that. We just had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Bronner and show him River Heritage, and one of the things that I was able to share that I'll share with y'all is I think what we're really blessed to have is the partners we have, but to be able to build community projects, not just for people that are coming in from out of town, which is wonderful, but also for the people inside the community. And River Heritage is a perfect example of that, of the people that are coming in to see that and also for our community. So I think that's a perfect example of what I hear all the time.
Facebook is full of people praising the city for finishing this and what a blessing is to our community that they have it.
Well, thank y'all for your support. It means a lot.
Bill, I got a question. River Heritage, is there any way y'all able to track how many people visit that at all?
It's a great question. So Melissa Bailey was able to secure some trail counters for us, and that's gonna be the first place that we utilize those, and we can tell exactly how much traffic is on there. So I can bring that data back to you as well.
Okay, thank
And
you.
have the waste receptacles been added?
They have. They're on back order as most things are, and also, while we're talking about it, you're talking about the number GPS. So we just ordered, it would explain what those are, 400 feet apart, and what to do in case there's an emergency. So thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Excellent. I think that would be really helpful for people. In case there is an emergency, there's a way to get help.
They should be up this weekend.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One more thing, and I'll let you move on from River
Sure,
Heritage.
no problem at all.
When people are out there walking and they will see their sign that says, is it 3 or 4, whatever, can you just tell, this is for the people who are listening, what those mean?
Oh, that's
I
what
mean,
we were
I
just
know.
talking about. Yeah.
So that's what
Oh, okay.
I ran into.
It's mile markers.
Well, I ran into Miss Eubanks at the, we were both down there and she asked me about it. And so we decided we needed to tell what those were. So they're really like mile markers. So if you have an emergency, you get hurt, something happens, you can call 911 and tell them you're at mile marker 3, and that will be GPS to that particular site. And they're 400 feet apart. And so from each one, we'll have some kind of telling what that actually is. So I've gotten a lot of questions about that. So we decided it's gonna look just like the sign that's up there now, so they'll kind of match and coordinate.
Okay, good deal. I had lots of questions, dialogue on social media, so
Yes.
I knew what it was, I just wanted to, for the people.
Well, and we figured out, just kind of like when you build a house, you find out the things that you really, I wish I'd done this. And so that's one of the things that,
Absolutely.
and it'll add into what kind of the color scheme and everything. So there'll be a nice match.
Okay, good deal.
Once
Thank you.
again, proactive thinking.
Trying.
Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. So the next item we have is a change order for Craig Construction, which will be for the new tennis and pickleball courts. This will actually be for the pickleball courts. And this will be there were several sheets of metal on the pickleball courts to cover them. This will be, as you can see, due to unprecedented construction costs. We originally designed the metal building with center columns to save costs. The price of the metal building came in lower than anticipated, so we asked BH Gray for a cost proposal for removing the center column. By removing the columns, this allows for a clear span, unobstructed area under the roof, thus causing for increased size of steel members. And this will also take out the columns, which will be a lot safer if you want to do things in there. It'll be an open space. So that is the reason for that, and that is $100,000. Any questions on that one?
I'm not an engineer, so I won't pretend to know why. But those columns, sometimes they're in a bad place. You have to look around them when it's because they have to be there.
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna trust y'all that when you take a column down, you're gonna put something in its place.
With the new design and engineering.
I'll play on the sides, not in the middle.
That's right. I'm not an engineer either. I know Mary's not a mechanical or electrical, but it'll be able to have one span of metal where the other one was separate. So it'll take out that column so people won't run into it. It really is a safety concern, so it'll be nice.
Motion to approve the change order. No, I'm sorry, you got a question? Go ahead.
No, I was about to see if any other questions, and then carry motion for the change order. Okay. Motion by Mr. Albert, could we get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Edwards, all in favor of the motion?
Thank you very much. The items on the consent agenda are item H. It will be for Skip's Handy Service, and this will be for the purpose of removing and installing countertops. And I think the original memo said Royal, this will be for Broadway Recreation Center. And this work includes labor and material necessary to complete the job, including countertops, backsplash, and plumbing. The total amount is $3,375.
Will this complete your work on the Broadway Rec Center?
We're getting really, really close. There may be a few more things that Nicole has, but this will be getting close to getting what we need.
Any additional questions for them? Okay, thank you. See you next.
Item I is for Global Fire Extinguishers, and we would like to enter into a contract with Global Fire Extinguishers for the purpose of providing annual inspections and maintenance to our fire extinguishers. The work includes labor and materials necessary to complete the job, and the quoted prices are on the memo. So we just have to have annual inspections of all our fire extinguishers, and this will allow us to do that. Item J is for Roto-Rooter Plumbing, and this would be to pay an invoice for emergency work to Roto-Rooter to unclog and repair drains in the restroom at the senior center. And this work included labor and materials necessary to complete the job. The amount is $365. Item K is to enter into a contract with Pro Plumbing and Gas Fitting, and this will be to provide service, material, and labor on an as-needed basis, and the rates are on the memo there.
Do we need that very often?
Well, this is sort of what Mary was saying. We have a lot of times where we'll have something that, like the emergency for Roto-Rooter that breaks on us, and we're able to go ahead and get that work done and get it back in service. So it saves us from having to do an actual contract and get it back up.
So this would replace those emergent things like we just did?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And a lot of places will give us a time and material price like that, but some just don't allow us to do that.
Are they local?
I'm not sure about that. Lee Peden did that one, so I'm not sure if that's local. Yeah, they're in Sheffield, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? So item L is for more parking, as Randy just alluded to. So this would be to enter into a contract with GMC for the purpose of providing scopes of service for the parking lot master plan at the Sportsplex. And this work would include labor and material to complete the job, including topo survey, master plan, estimate, and proposal as per the attached quote. So this will be to help give us kind of a plan moving forward to the rest of the areas that can be used for parking. They'll give us a price, so if it's, the price comes in, we can start budgeting those. In item M, I'm gonna let Tyler and Randy come up and do item M, if y'all would allow me to do that. As I talked about partnerships, our partnership with tourism is really, really good. We have a wonderful partnership, and we can't tell them how much we appreciate them. So I'm gonna let them come up and talk about this.
Bill, before you sit down, I don't know if you were here at the last meeting or you got gone before I could tell you, but I know I've got a couple of calls in the last 2 or 3 months about restriping the boat parking down at McFarland. Is that something we do, or?
So
Maybe it was David I said something to. I may have said something to you.
So we're under that parking lot is part of a grant from Wildlife and Fisheries. So they're gonna redo our 3 ramps, and that, I can include that with work, but that'll be in the winter, but I can check with them.
Okay.
But technically, that's their parking lot because of the grant. So I think they would be the ones that would do that.
Okay.
But I can, David, I'm sure would be happy to do it.
Okay. David?
Y'all need that?
No.
I figured you did.
So we want to enter into a contract again with Alabama High School Athletic Association for 3 more years to host the North Regional Softball Tournament. I think I started in 2012, going to Huntsville for 6 years, taking notes and all this. And so we've had it since 19, and the economic impact from it is like 2 million north of 2 million, so I just don't see why we should let this go back to Huntsville or anywhere else. So we had a great partnership with Tyler and Rob down at Tourism. They pay half of the bid fee for this. We don't really advertise what the bid fee is to the public, so nobody wants to jump in there and take it away from us. So anyway, but we've had a great partnership with Tyler and Rob and Tourism and their board on this. So we would just like to continue to do it. I'll let Tyler talk.
So, Tyler Dolan, on behalf of Florence Tourism, we're happy to come back again with partnership with the City of Florence, but also Parks and Rec. Hands down, Bill and Randy, there's no other guys like them in the business. Randy, he should get extra claps for this. If it wasn't for him, it'd be a lot more difficult to bring this in. Also the maintenance crews, without them, these tournaments would not be coming back. For some reason, if Randy could have it not rain during that tournament every year, it'd be excellent. I know that they would appreciate it, but we appreciate what you guys do, what the City of Florence does, and partnerships with us, not only with the softball tournament and Sportplex, but also at McFarland Park. It's an honor to work for the City of Florence and the Shoals area. There's nothing like the Shoals, so thank you guys.
We just gotta get more hotel rooms for these big events, right?
I don't need people screaming at me saying we don't need them, but we need them, and we appreciate y'all.
Wait, Tyler, this may be for you or Randy.
Yes, ma'am.
When did we start hosting this?
2019.
Okay, so this will go into our 6th, 7th, and 8th year, so we're finishing up the 5th year.
It start 25, 26, 27, and it go through 27.
So it'll start next year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you also, maybe it'll be you or Bill, supply those economic impact numbers? You alluded to 2 million, but it would be great to know what they are and then what that does in the hotel industry, but also with those tertiary spendings on food and other things like that.
Sure, I'll be happy to share that. We have a data sheet that we go through, and it'll give you guys an account of rooms that we can account for, and for the economic impact. I'll send that out to you guys, and for people that on Facebook or anywhere else that hear and see this. It is not necessarily just a dollar amount coming in, but we do have multipliers, which every other company and city that runs economic impacts, we have our multipliers that we run them through, which is dollars that are earned here and then getting spent again into the Shoals area from the workers, from the maintenance, from myself. So there are standard economic impact numbers that go into that, but I'll be happy to share that with y'all.
Just email it, please, Tyler.
All
Thank
right.
you.
I want to say something about the attendance for this. So there's 4 sites, 4 regional sites. Our attendance this year was 8,311 tickets that were sold. That was more than 3 sites in one day. So the High School Athletic Association gets the gate, which come to $116,000 and something dollars for the 4-day term for them.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Y'all have any additional questions for Bill?
So I'll be a 3-year contract from, okay, thank y'all so much. Y'all get evening.
Thank you. Mayor?
Just to let you know, I know you know that Dr. Broderick is in town, and we had the good fortune to be able to take him down on River Heritage Trail, and he made it very clear that that was one of the most beautiful places in Alabama, so certainly tickled about that. I have 3 items. The first is a resolution to approve the agreement with James Marine to provide tugboat services for the Spirit of Freedom celebration. Miss Martha has helped us for a long time on our Spirit of Freedom, and this year's been a little challenging. And at the last agenda, we had a contract for tugboat, but we had to change that. There's a new company, and so Billy Musgrove has worked through this process, and that this year they're going to provide a second tugboat that'll be in between, a second barge that'll be in between the barge we have already got for safety. So he's worked that out, and this is just a contract with us, and there's no cost on this. Any question? All right, the second one I'm going to turn over, it's a resolution to authorize the formation of the Public Education Building Authority of Florence. That's the 1830 Foundation from UNA. And I'm sponsoring that, and I'm going to ask the legal counsel for UNA, Amber Five Morgan, to come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Knightley. I'm gonna let my colleague introduce herself.
Hi, Alina Arbuthnot from Maynard Nexon. We serve as bond counsel to the university.
So you probably have heard we're building a stadium. Maybe.
Where?
Right where? So the university's created a new foundation. It's the 1830 Foundation. A lot of institutions these days are moving towards having multiple foundations, one of which is like a real estate foundation. And so that is what our 1830 Foundation is. It will be responsible for building for the construction of the stadium. Because of its status as a non-governmental entity, it does not have tax exemption for goods and services. It also cannot issue bonds. So therefore, we need to create a public educational building authority. To do that, and I'm gonna let my colleague here, who has expertise in this, say a little bit more about it, but that the PIBA is what it is. It's statutorily created, you approve it. It allows us to avail ourselves of that tax exempt status for the goods and services, and then also to issue bonds. And it's something that's not uncommon for higher ed institutions in Alabama or for schools systems. And Maynard Nexon is our bond counsel, and they've done this for other institutions, Alabama, JSU. So I'm gonna let her say a little bit more.
Hey there, thank you for letting us present. I just wanted to let y'all know the Public Educational Building Authority is a type of local government entity that is permitted to be created in Alabama pursuant to section 1618(1) and the following sections of the Alabama Code. As Amber said, fairly common. A lot of K through 12 districts use this sort of mechanism for when they want to build certain facilities. A lot of universities as well. You may have seen in the past, cities sometimes use a similar organization called a public building authority. Just doesn't have the word educational in there. Oftentimes it's maybe the city wants to get something off of their balance sheet, so they want to build something that way. What you have before you today is an application from the three members who would be proposed to serve as the members of the PIBA. They have been, oh yes, go ahead.
I'm so sorry to interrupt your very great presentation, but I don't think we have that document you talked about with the three members. The application.
Or the resolution?
No, we don't
I
have
don't
it.
have anything.
So I just wanted to say.
It's good to know, yes. City Attorney Musgrove has looked over all of them. I know he's not here this week, part of why we made sure to be.
No, sir.
No, it wasn't even on our work agenda.
Well, glad you pointed that out. We will work on getting that resolved.
We could share with you the names if that would.
I was hoping.
Yes.
However you want to do it.
Yeah, sure. So Deborah Bell Hester will be one of them, Sam Mashburn, and then Rob Jones.
And we have confirmed, as is a requirement of the statute, that all three of those proposed members are electors in the city of Florence and own property in the city of Florence. Those certificates from the respective officials of the city are accompanying the application. So what's important for you all to know is that by statute, there's no liability here for the city when it approves the formation of a PIBA. None of the debt that a PIBA issues is on the books of the city, doesn't impact you all at all. This is really just the process that the statute requires that the city has to approve the formation. And then the articles of incorporation will go to the judge of probate and then the Secretary of State, and they'll be able to meet, and they'll be their own governing body separate from the city.
We did something similar with this when we did, and I'm looking at you, Mayor, when we have had the hospital situation, Mr. Tom White is on one of these type
Well,
authorities.
For our city hall, we're doing a public building.
Yes.
Okay,
You all
so we have this already in
Absolutely.
place
We had
with something
we had
else.
three individuals that serve on that committee.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that I was thinking about that correctly, because we have a history of doing this, but I have not been familiar with this one, so, okay.
You may have addressed this, because I was looking through here for my resolution, you may have said it while I was looking, but why does the city have to, why do we have to approve?
That's what's required by the statute, because this site, where the stadium is going to be built, is within the city
I
limits.
got you.
It's the city who has to approve it. If it were, an unincorporated, it would be a county. So it's just the requirements
But
of the
again, we're not
statute.
liable for anything, we're not out any money, or?
Correct.
Right.
And Lee Birchall, the city's normal bond counsel, has also reviewed the documents, and he will be serving as the issuer's counsel to the PIBA. So he will be the PIBA's counsel.
Mayor, have you been involved with this through the process?
Yes, I have, and my apologies, I know Billy had handled this, I thought he had gotten everybody a copy, so we're gonna make you one.
So you are familiar and support?
Absolutely, we did the
Okay.
same thing with, and y'all were part of it with the Public Building Authority for City Hall.
So how will that work? You mentioned about they'll come together, they'll have a secretary to take notes and all that stuff. How do they function then? Like,
So-
what do they do?
Yes, so really it is, and this again is done all throughout, not just the state of Alabama, but the country. These kind of entities were mostly created by local legislatures or state legislatures to give an ability for 501c3 entities and sometimes for governmental entities to avail themselves of the ability to issue tax exempt bonds when they would not otherwise be able to.
Right, and so they'll come together, they'll meet,
They will come
they
together.
will
meet.
oversee those things? No.
Yes, mostly the university and the foundation will be selecting all of those things. It's really a conduit, kind of a pass-through,
Okay,
that does it. They are their own board, right? They have to meet certain legal requirements to be able to issue tax exempt bonds under the IRS code. They have to be independent, for example, from UNA and from the foundation, the 1830 Foundation. But they will not be the ones who are making the decisions on building the stadium. That will be UNA.
And Dr. Kitts mentioned that the board voted, was it whatever day it
Last Friday.
last Friday, okay, to approve $35 million in bonds.
Right.
Is that the,
Well, up to.
that's kind of the
if
cart
needed.
before the horse?
Yes.
So we're gonna try to get the horse to catch up with the cart?
That is the vote that they had last week is it's a step that the IRS requires, where you say you are intending to issue tax exempt debt, and each of the kind of parties that's involved it adopts that resolution. So the PIBA will also adopt that resolution at their first meeting. And what's also important, I think, for you all to know is in this structure, ultimately UNA provides the credit for these bonds. So again, nothing that will be on the city.
Yeah, I think we also did that with the legal tourism building.
okay, that would have been. Yeah.
You've made this clear, because the whole time I was thinking, I have no clue what you're talking
It's there's a reason there aren't very many lawyers who do this.
Be niche lawyering.
It is. Very specific tax code stuff, so mixed with some
You
state
cleared it up.
constitutional and
You
stuff.
explained it well, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have any additional questions? Mary, you have more comments?
I just say that, my apologies for not having copies. This has been between Billy and Lee Birchall, and I have a copy, they made me a copy, I'm sorry. And I know that Amber and Billy have been talking regularly about it, so I feel quite comfortable with what they're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item I have is item B on the regular agenda. It's a resolution to approve the license agreement with Dorothy Darnell Franks, Elizabeth Darnell Champion, and Marcy Bradshaw Darnell II, and it's sponsored by me as well. For those who don't know, I know we've been meeting Steve and some others on our new parking deck. One of the things that Mr. Coombs would tell you is as we've grown in downtown, especially with restaurants, we need additional spaces for dumpsters. And one of the assets we will have with our new parking deck is an 18-foot concrete strip to the south of the parking deck. And he plans to put those dumpsters there at an angle. And we've been working with Miss Champion. I think Betty Champion owns this strip mall there that has Jack's Place and others, Old Mobile Plaza. So we, because of needing access to her property, which is currently gravel, we worked out an agreement with her and her family to concrete that so the trucks will be able to come in without tearing up her driveway and accessing that and make it more convenient for our dumpsters. Is that the way it works? So they've worked closely with us, and I certainly feel good about this arrangement we made. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I believe that is all on the agenda, on the work session agenda. Nobody have anything else? Okay, we'll take a 5 minute, we'll take a 5 minutes break and then we'll come back and start immediately.